So if you've already watched the basic technique exercises video for the left hand, this is the one for the right hand. If you haven't watched it, that's fine. Doesn't really matter what order you watch them in. But this video is specifically focusing on the right hand and really mostly going to focus on the fingerstyle technique, which is used in classical guitar, flamenco guitar, a lot of folk, and just, you know, any general solo guitar kind of style. So we're going to look at a strategy for getting your right hand used to or acclimated to the kinds of things that are going to be expected from it. So I'm going to adjust here for a second. Bear with me. I know, wish I had a dolly and a gaffer and all that other good stuff, but this is it. Alright, so basically, I mean, as I said in the last video, you got to start out in ready position, which I'm pretty much in. If you're not, then you need to get in ready position. If you don't know what ready position is, refer to the ready position video and it'll explain it. But I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to position it like this. Alright, let me back up a little bit so you can see. There's a lot of different schools of thought about where your right hand should be. Right now I'm kind of following the Andre Segovia school, which says you should have it right over the sound hole. You get a nice, really sweet tone like that. But, you know, a lot of people also advocate for it being right here, just under the sound hole. There's a lot to be said for this, because when your hand is over the sound hole, like I said, the tone is a lot warmer than it is down here, but it's also kind of like talking like this with your hand over your mouth. You know, you don't really, you know, the sound hole reflects a lot of the sound out from inside the chamber. So if your hand's in front of it, you are kind of obscuring that a little bit. I mean, it's very, very marginal. Anyway, so once you have your hand positioned, again, I recommend not doing this, but rather keeping your wrist in a neutral position. However, my wrist is slightly elevated this way. Not down here, but up here. Alright, so my fingers are nice and long, not down here, but like that. And my knuckles big knuckles are going to be the ones to watch. So once I've got my fingers positioned like that, notice where my thumb or my P finger, the pulgar finger is. It's out in front. So when you look down, you should see a little triangle made up of the P finger, the I finger, and the plane of the strings. See that? The little triangle. That tells you that that your hand is positioned correctly. Now, it's okay to have like this, but you don't want your thumb or P finger right underneath your I finger, and you definitely don't want it back here. If it's like this, what's going to happen is your P finger and I finger are going to be knocking into each other a lot. Your P finger has to be out to the side a little bit, so it's out of the way. I tell everyone that using your right hand to pluck the strings, it's very much like clapping with one hand. If you can do this, that's exactly what you do on the guitar. Your thumb is out to the side. If you're like this, you can't clap. If your thumb's out here, then you can clap. All right, so make sure your thumb is out to the side a little bit, and you know, before you do anything, make sure your right hand looks pretty much like mine does right now. So again, get that angle there. Okay, good. So once you got your hand position, then you can start with your I finger and do this. Oh, by the way, I should mention my thumb or P finger is on the 6th string, my I finger is on the 3rd string, my M finger is on the 2nd string, and my A finger is on the 1st string. So basically on a nylon string guitar, my I, M, and A fingers are on the treble strings, the clear strings. On the steel string guitar, the first 2 strings would be unwound and the 3rd string would be wound, like the bottom 4 strings. But as long as your first finger, or I finger I should say, excuse me, is on the G string and M is on the B string and A is on the E string, the high E string, then you're good. Your pinky doesn't have to do anything, so it just basically can hang out. You don't want to do this. You don't want to have it extended. You know, anytime you do anything like that, you're going to be holding tension in that finger, and tension is like a virus. It just spreads, and before you know it, your back is in pain, and you're wondering how you got there. So anyway, so now I got everything positioned, and now my I finger is just going to do this over and over again. I'm doing a free stroke right now. I'm plucking all the way through the G string, and I'm not resting on anything else. If I turn this angle, you can see that. See my finger coming up toward my palm? You should be able to do that. if you're doing this properly, your eye finger should not have to worry about hitting any other string. It should be able to go all the way to your palm without hitting anything else. Now, of course, in real situations, you wouldn't do that, but you should be able to do that. The reason why I'm able to do that, or one of the big reasons, is notice the angle of my wrist. Remember, I said don't do that, do this. If you do this, you're playing kind of off of the side of your finger a little bit. So what you've done is you got from here to here to clear the next string. If you're like this, well, you've got from here to here. So it's a much wider angle like this than like that. So, and also it's better for your wrist because you're not, crimping those tendons and all that stuff in your carpal tunnel there. And this might be kind of controversial among some classical guitarists because Segovia played like this, and all of Segovia's proteges that I know of adopted this technique. Different strokes for different folks. If it works for you, great. If you don't experience any pain, great. But personally, for me, I've always preferred playing like this, and I've seen it work really well for most of my students and a lot of my colleagues as well. So I've done free strokes with my eye finger. You can also try doing some wrist strokes with your eye finger. See, the lighting in here is not really good today, but you can. Let's see if I can get closer. Right? Yeah, there you go. So you can see my eye finger going all the way through and going to coming to a rest on the D string, as opposed to doing this where it's coming up and out into space. Now I'm doing a rest stroke. Again, I'm not moving my other fingers. You could do that or not. If you want to just focus on free stroke, that's great. But if you want to try rest stroke, that's great too. But there are other exercises for rest stroke. If you want to watch the alternate picking video, it deals with that. Same thing with the M finger. Exactly the same thing. Now notice how, again, I'm not moving the other fingers. I shouldn't have to. If your hand is positioned correctly, all the motion should come from right here. Nothing should have to move to get out of the way. You shouldn't have to worry about hitting any other strings, and your fingertips should be able to go all the way to your palm without hitting anything else. So real important to make sure that that's happening. Also, make sure that you're not, if anything is kicking out this way, that's a sign that something's wrong. Everything should be going toward your palm, like there's some kind of invisible hand back here pushing everything. And if you have to actually physically take another finger and even push that way, then great, excellent. Same thing with the A finger. This is a hard finger for a lot of people. Just like with the left hand, this finger is a difficult finger to isolate, and it's connected down here to your pinky, and your pinky is a lot of times going to want to move sympathetically with it. That's okay. It's not really that big of a deal. The only thing you want to really be careful of with your pinky is, like I said before, you're not holding any tension in it. It should be relaxed so that it can, so that your rest of your hand can be relaxed. Because, like I said, tension's a virus. You get a little bit of tension, it'll spread, and all your fingers will start becoming like rocks, and then it'll go to your arm and all the way up to your back. So keep everything relaxed. That's the hardest thing to learn with playing an instrument. Now your thumb, your P finger. Thumb is kind of different. Your P finger is going to not want to do what the other fingers are doing. You don't want this joint to bend at all, especially if you have a nail like I do. If you don't have a nail, you still don't want to do it. What you're going to want to do is, rest strokes are actually very easy with your P finger. Let me move a little closer here so you can see. It's very natural. All I'm doing is moving from this big knuckle, like all the other ones, and it just goes straight down. But free strokes are a little different. Let me change the angle here so you can see. With a free stroke, you have to sort of move in a circle. I'm exaggerating it now so you can see, but this is a regular free stroke for me. It's a very small circle, but that's kind of what you have to do for your thumb or your P finger. I keep on wanting to use both terminologies so that you don't get confused. Those of you who aren't familiar with the Spanish equivalent names for the right hand, it's P-I-M-A for pulgar, indice, media, and annular. But, of course, we would think of it as thumb, index, middle, and ring. Of course, indice and media, those are the two easiest ones to remember because, index and middle, same thing. But that's what I mean when I'm talking about indice and media. So anyway, this is an exercise that, again, you want to spend about 5 minutes a day with, just to get your right hand used to free strokes, so that when you do arpeggios, all that kind of stuff, it'll be much easier for you. And we'll talk more about that later.